Cause everyone rather be tased, shocking them away from reality that will never be free. Still trying to figure out what's holding me. Black seed oil take over me. Double entendre if you know your groceries. The main thing that I always have to know when I ask is like spiritually, how is plant-based living kind of like I don't know, just like how is it serving you?
Me personally, I think overall, just like clean eating and then like the vegan lifestyle I like to say plant-based. I don't really call myself vegan anymore. I've moved away from that term, but I think that like overall that in general has like connected me closer like to the earth itself, and like on a spiritual level, I just think that there is something very spiritual about being able to like, taking care of your body, like your body is your temple, you know what I mean? That brings you, whether you believe in God or like whatever that is, it's just something that when you're eating clean, you feel a deeper connection, like spiritually, to the earth, to God, to the higher power, that whoever, it is that you may serve, you know what I mean? You feel better overall mentally. You're able to, think clearer, things like that, just like spiritually. I feel like you can process better, hear things better, like you can listen like without all of the like junk that's clouding your
Right.
like mind. And I think just overall the plant-based lifestyle, like I've gone from, I cut out things and then I moved on, and I was like, I started eating cleaner and cleaner. Of course you have times where you're eating like vegan junk food, but I
Right,
just
right.
think that overall it's kind of made me like open my eyes to like the world, and like looking at things from not just about being about like myself, like just everyone as a whole, like all beings, you know what I mean? So
Right, right. I like how you put that. Ooh, I
yeah.
like that. I like that. I like that. I wasn't expecting all that. Now, all right. So you are a chef. Like were you a chef before being plant-based, or how did that tell me how that all that came to be?
So I've always been a good cook. I would like to say my mom taught me pretty well.
Right.
I've always like cooked. I've always liked to experiment in the kitchen. I actually work a corporate, like, 9 to 5 job. I do
Right.
the chef work on the side. As far as like being a chef, I started with doing like meal prepping actually. So people would see my food that I was posting for myself, and then people
Mm,
started reaching out to me to like start to cook for them. So I'm like, all right, so maybe I will do that more. So I kind of did it on the side. And then like I did in a few events, like some catering stuff for like
okay.
a friend that wanted to eat plant-based. But it really started with like people just wanting me to meal prep for them, maybe because they wanted to eat plant-based, but they didn't have the time, they didn't know how to cook, they didn't know what to cook or to make it taste, to I like to make things that taste kind of like what we're familiar with, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm not like a formally trained chef. I grew up cooking. I've always enjoyed it. But I'm not like a classically trained like chef. I've never went to like, chef school or culinary school
Wow.
or anything like
Right.
that. I just over the years just started like learning. I watch other
Yeah.
chefs, and then I just started like trying to veganize things, that I grew up
Right.
loving. Cause it was like when I gave a lot of things up, like even my mother's macaroni and cheese, or just my macaroni and cheese from
Yeah.
scratch. It's like,
Right.
oh,
Right.
I'm plant-based and now I can't have this. But I don't
Yeah.
like to think about the things that I'm giving up and you're losing. It's more about like what I'm gaining overall.
Mm.
So you push that aside, and that's what, you get from
Right. I like that what you're gaining. All
it.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I found you as soul to soul vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's your chef name? Is it a creative chef name, or is it
No, I just go by my own name.
all right, so how do I pronounce
Shanae. My
Shanae?
name's
Okay.
Shanae. Yeah.
Right, right. I just
So just my name. I'm trying to actually work on like some other things behind the scene. Like
okay.
eventually, I'll have like I want to have like an e-cookbook and things like
Mhm.
that. More like I've always wanted to have like an apothecarian type of like a wellness space, like all encompassing, kind of like everything, where it'd be like plant-based lifestyle, mental health. But I've always wanted in like maybe like a juice bar, like
Mm.
apothecary tea type of place, but like in areas that are like underserved, that really need it most, where there's no access, and maybe like even food deserts and things like that. Like even here where I live, you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to go outside of the neighborhood to like get certain things. So you know what I
Mm.
mean? It's just
Right,
like
right, right.
seeing all of that. that's what kind of,
So with you putting all that together, because that's a whole dynamic plan, how are you constantly like learning about just the lifestyle and new things and new herbs, new plants? How are you constantly like, what's your go-to?
So I read a lot of books. There might be some behind me. So
Right.
reading, that's when people ask me, well, how do you know that? Like I read. So I
Right.
read, I watch certain things. Um, I actually am studying to be a certified herbalist. So yeah,
Nice.
so I'm taking herbalism courses. So I want to be certified and learn more about like plant medicine and things like that. I don't take any Western medicine, but I would like to like learn more about like plants and the way they work and their medicinal properties and things like
Mm,
that. So I just read a lot, even videos. I follow a few different chefs. I try to follow people on Instagram that I kind of like. It's a you want to keep your space kind of safe in a sense, and like things
mm,
that like I can relate to. Obviously there's going to be things that I follow that may like, but I like to, I'm always like learning.
got you.
I've always been that way. I like to read and things like that. So it's just like I go from there, I read, and then I'll go down a rabbit hole. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm learning
Right.
about like gut health and the microbiome, and then
Yeah.
I'll go pick up a book, and I listen to a podcast, and like I have a few educational podcasts that I listen to
Right.
that are about like plant-based life. So there's always something to learn from somewhere. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's going to be things that I don't know that someone can teach me, and I'm always learning. You know what I mean? I'm never
Right.
afraid to ask someone questions, or you know what I mean? People reach out to me and ask me questions. If I don't have the answer, I can maybe look it up, figure out, research.
Mhm.
Everybody's going to be different. This isn't one size fit all either. But yeah,
Mm.
just reading podcasts, books, magazines, and then my herbalism courses and things like that. So that's it.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
work. That's work right there. But that's
Yeah.
what we need to, especially as a culture. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It's just connecting back to our
Yes.
ancestors, connecting back to the land, because this is what we come
This is
from.
where we come from. Exactly.
Right.
Like gardening and things like
Yeah.
that. I'm glad to see like, Black people in general getting back into gardening, growing their
Exactly.
own food. This is what we come from. This is our legacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just like, because even when I first went plant-based, I had people like, oh, you eat like a white person now. And I'm like, do
Right.
I?
Right.
Because
Nah,
I'm
black
pretty
people,
sure
this is
people don't understand. Like our ancestors ate this way. You know what I mean?
hmm
Meat was a sign of privilege. Meat was a sign of wealth. We
right,
weren't
right.
eating the meat because we didn't quote unquote have the wealth. We were eating the plants. You know what I mean? So this is not this is not what that is.
You're right.
This is this is our lifestyle. And I'm glad to see, and Black people are the highest growing or like population for veganism in general. So
Yeah.
we're underrepresented. So people don't see that when you look on
And
Instagram
it's
and
like
like,
what they assume, right? You know what
hmm
I'm saying? It's like they come up with whatever stereotype they may have in their mind.
exactly,
It's like, nah, come on, like let's
exactly.
get on this wave. I don't know. I want to see us get out of that wave too. And that's the one of the reasons I want to have these conversations, because it was that thing. If you see somebody black trying to eat healthy, it's like you clown on them. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to eat healthy. What's wrong? Why is it?
Exactly. Like all of these things are by design. Like if
Right.
certain neighborhoods and things like that, you look at the food that's there, you look at the things that are there in our neighborhood, like this is for a reason. Like you know what I mean? The certain
Exactly.
access, we don't have access to certain things. That's why it's important. Like if I could have a garden, I would have a garden. I
Mhm.
live in a city, so
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I feel you.
I'm not able to, but
Yeah.
I'm blessed enough to be able to go to the farmer's market, or if
Right.
I have to go to Whole Foods, go to Whole Foods. But everyone doesn't have that option. And that's what I'm aware of as well. You know what I mean? I try to be
Mhm.
mindful of that because food justice is another big thing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like not everybody has access, you know what I mean? But I try like I do my fancier dishes even like on my page and stuff like that. But even like in my stories a lot, like I go in my stories, like I, tell people like when things are on sale or like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Things like that and how to like certain things that are affordable and things like that. That way it's important that people understand that you can get these things. You know what I mean?
Right. What you talking about, that awareness? How have you compare yourself to the beginning of your journey to now? Like, what does that even look like?
Huh. So I like began the plant-based like life. I've been plant-based almost 4 years now. So going on
Nice.
4 years. My birthday will make wait, is it 4 years? How old am I? Oh, it's
Uh-oh.
gonna be 5 years.
Uh-oh.
So 5 years. So the plant-based life, I would say like 5 years ago, from now, I was kind of like all over the place. I
Mm,
didn't know exactly what I was doing. You know what I
mhm.
mean? In the beginning, it was just like I cut everything out. I felt like very kind of like restricted.
Right,
So it's
right.
like you look at like I look back and I'm like I was also sort of like a junk food vegan in a sense in the
Okay.
beginning. And it
Yeah.
was like as I learned and like as I reached, I'm always growing and evolving, you know what I mean? And there's
Mhm.
always something to learn, like I said. But looking back, I was kind of like a junk food vegan. I don't think I'll ever be like fully alkaline, but I think even with
Yeah.
veganism, like I transitioned into veganism. So I went from like cutting out like meat to cutting out like cutting out chicken
Mm,
and cutting
got
out
you.
seafood. And the same thing with my vegan journey. I went from kind of eating like junk where it was like I didn't know what to do, what to eat when I was out, how to
Right.
prepare, making sure I'm prepped and making sure I eat before I go, just in case I
Yeah,
get to a
exactly,
restaurant or I
exactly.
go to brunch with my friends and there's nothing for me to eat.
Right,
And they're like, oh, I
right.
checked the menu before we came. They said they had vegan options. And then I get there, there's nothing.
Nah.
So, like, from then till now, I've learned like to carry my food. I've learned what I want and what I don't want and what is
Right.
kind of like healthier, things like that. But I think I'm also like evolving in my veganism as the same way like my
Mhm.
healthier lifestyle. Like so I went from like junk food to like starting to be a cleaner vegan, eat cleaner, and then eventually like now I don't think like I said, I'll never truly be alkaline, but I eat pretty
Mhm.
clean. You know what I mean? I have days where like I want to experiment with certain things and I may have unhealthy, but for the most part, I do try to eat pretty clean, especially now being stuck in the house with quarantine here
Yeah,
in New Jersey. It's important because I'm not as active. Like I work
yeah.
out in the house, but I also have to be a little bit more mindful because I'm just not burning as many calories anymore because I'm not walking around the city. I'm
Right,
not at the
right,
gym. Like, before this, that's another thing. Like I incorporate fitness as well. Like, you know what I
right.
mean? I've kind of yo-yoed and also my vegan journey, some people think I went vegan to like lose weight. It was never really about that. It was
Mm,
just like as I started learning more, plant-based lifestyle seemed most fitting, and I just felt like it was the healthiest option like for me.
mm.
You know what I mean? I think everybody can benefit from it. I'm realistic though. I do understand that everyone is not going to be vegan. Like I get
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but if you can have a meatless Monday, if you can, take certain things out of your diet, understand like things because in the journey I've also learned things about like pesticides and things that are
Mhm.
hidden in the food and like the hidden things that are in food. I think I've
Right.
come from just like, oh, I don't eat meat to like, wait, this has a bunch of pesticides. This is linked to cancer. This is like, you start to kind of like research more.
Yeah.
And like, as I've evolved in that way, I think I've just kind of overall just, it's evolving as well. I may be alkaline vegan one day. I
I
might
think
be
you can
like
do it.
you.
I think it sounds like, see, you way you were talking, but I'm listening to you now. Like, I'm like, you can do it. You once you
Of
start to
course,
act it,
I can do it. I
yeah,
don't know if I really want to do it. I'm not there yet. Like, eventually you might talk to me in a year or two and I might be a raw
yeah,
vegan. I
yeah.
could be a
See,
raw
boom.
foodist. Yeah, you know what I mean? But right
Yeah.
now, no. I enjoy like, certain things and I like to experiment. So as of right now, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. I feel you. I feel you.
Maybe one day.
Okay. Well, how are you moving now? Like in far as with your business and just your brand, is it quarantine kind of like how is that? Obviously going into people's places. What's that been like? And
So
how you
I
moving?
haven't done any like I when COVID happened, I just kind of like took a break. I have like a few clients I still like prep for, and then
Okay.
also I took a break overall from like meal prepping for people
Gotcha.
because I was like overworked and overwhelmed.
Mm,
Like I got a promotion at work. I'm super busy. Like I have, like I told you, I have more than a 9 to 5. So I have a
gotcha.
busy job, kind of like a demanding job. So I'm just
Yeah.
like I went from and then I moved also. So like right before COVID happened, I was like in the middle of moving and things like
Wow.
that. So I took a break. So I have someone I like meal prep for still. They come, I prepare the food, pick up the food, but also I didn't want to be preparing food for people in the middle of like a pandemic as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I'm not doing any like private chef work because that's
Gotcha.
another thing that I really wanted to do more of. I wanted to curate like events
Mm.
with me as like the chef and host, and kind of like where I do like a demo and do sort of like a dinner. That was my goal this year, but I obviously am not going to be able to do that maybe for the next year or so. Who knows
Yeah.
where things are going to go? So
Right.
we really don't know, but that was the goal. But I just I took a step back, because when I was prepping for so many people by myself with no help, I was overwhelmed and just I wasn't enjoying it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I'm a true believer in like putting like love into the food and like how things come out. Like if I'm like just doing it out of like a chore, oh, I need to cook this, it's not made with love. You know what I mean? It doesn't
Gotcha.
taste the same.
Yeah. No.
I believe it doesn't taste the same. So,
And that's not soul to soul.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I am, and I'm also a perfectionist. And when it comes to my food, I'm very like, oh, people may think it's amazing. And I'll be like, oh, I could have used this, I could have used that. And like, I will like tear myself down. And people are like, this is great. What are you talking about? But like, that's just me. That's a bad habit though. But you know.
I mean, that's the creative in you, right?
Yeah.
Like as creatives, it's like, and because in your head, how what else could be done to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of something that can be creative, are bowls, grain bowls, all types of bowls. What I want to do is I want to ask you, I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh boy.
In 10 seconds, I want you to create the bowl, create whatever bowl it can be. But 10 seconds, I want to hear how you put it together. And let me know.
Okay.
I'm going to start the timer. I'm going to start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I'm going to start with a green base, maybe some curly kale, some cooked quinoa, and then I'll throw in like some barbecue jackfruits, some roasted plantains with like a spicy tahini dressing.
All right, and time. Oh, okay. okay. So we had the spicy tahini dressing with the curly kale, and then I think you said the
quinoa.
Quinoa, yeah. Okay.
And then like some vegetables. You throw some other like grilled vegetables on there. Like, I do bowls are a go-to for me also because they're easy to make. I guess you can call them like, they're just like salads, but I like to mix it up. And a lot of times people like, oh no, that might taste weird. And like, you have to experiment. Like you have to, you know, try something other than what you're used to, and you'd be surprised. Like I'm always like, I like to like put certain, like you should see my spice cabinet, but like I like to add certain things and people like, what's that taste? Like, you know what I mean? But just experimenting, have fun, and grain bowls in general are like an easy
go to
for somewhere to like start. You start with a base and then you just build on from there, and you can switch it up day to day because it can be so different, you know what I mean, depending on what you want.
Yes. Well, all right. So before you go, I need you to any social media, website, anything that you want to like for someone to go to and they can find you, connect to, see all your stuff. Like, I mean, it's one thing to be a chef, but listening to you is knowledge too behind it. And that's what we need. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, my social media for now is Soul to Soul Vegan. So that's soul, the number 2, and then vegan. And that I'm on Instagram. My email is Shane. So it's like my first name is SHANE.Tiani, TIANI, at gmail.com. And that's really all you can find me. I'm actually in the middle of working on my website. So actually after I work out now, I'm working on that and putting some things together. So that'll be coming soon. But if someone follows me on Instagram and you DM me, I do answer, you know what I mean? So as you can see.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it.